Fiona asked me to wait 30 seconds, so I need to wait for the 30 seconds.
No problem. We can wait also 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. I am at home now, so I take your time.
Ok. Alors, bonjour, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je voudrais présenter en quelques mots Lek Gjeloshi, qui a été invité par Bernard Rudiger à présenter son travail dans le cadre des conférences de l'ENS-Balion. Donc, je vais laisser Lek se présenter et présenter son travail. Donc, voilà. Bonne conférence. Lek, it's your...
Okay, thank you, Marie, and thank you to Bernard and to École of Lyon for the invitation. I am Lek Gjeloshi. I am from Albania, but I lived more than 12 years in Italy, in Florence, when I studied in Fine Art Academy for visual arts, so painting, drawing, video installation, etc. And now I'm living since 2017 in Shkodra, and I'm going on with my work as an artist, but also I am the head of the archive of the National Museum of Photography, Marubi, that takes place in Shkodra, a place in Albania from the north part of Albania. And today, last year, in fact, in December, I was part of this show at the school with a series of blueprints, some images that today I will try to, not to explain maybe, but to tell you the story behind them. So how it started and how it is going on until now. But I started working early when I was 17, 18 with contemporary art. So today, just because this presence or lack of colors in my work is always very important, I would like to start from a video, and after to show a solo show that I did in Florence at Villa Romana, a German space. And after we can follow all the rest of the talk today. So thank you in advance for the patience. And I am a little bit, embarrassed, and I have to excuse for my bad English. Is not my language, in fact. I speak Albanian and Italian, but I will try to do my best. So I think that first of all, I will share my screen, and I will show this video.
Sometimes you have to wait like few seconds before the présenter maintenant start.
Okay, just a second, because I'm facing some problems because of Google Chrome. I don't know why. Just a second. I'm sorry, just a second and I will fix this problem.
Bon, bah attendons. Lek, welcome back.
Okay, I just share my screen. It's on view for all of you. Yes? Okay. So as I told before, I'm starting with a video that was an early work. It was an early work, and it was very important to understand how to deal with the colors. So I want to problematize somehow the presence of the colors through the video. So now I'm showing this video. It's 10 minutes, but you just take your time. It's very important to follow all the process. I don't like to interrupt it. So, and after that, we will start with other things, and maybe we can understand together this moment. Please text me if you are looking at the video in the moment I start with it, because I'm not. Yes?
Yes, Lek.
Okay, we just saw this video that is very old work for me because it was created in 2010, so almost 11 years ago. But it was very important, this experiment. This experiment with, as I saw it before, with the colors, but also with the idea of the structure. So I choose a very simple and problematic symbol like the swastika is for Western culture, etc. And but it's not just a symbol; it became a kind of structure with this broken wings and with this inclination of the glasses of the broken wings, and two persons are going in and out with primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue, and black and white, and they are just mixing them to produce secondary colors. But all these secondary colors, at a certain point in the middle of the structure, in the heart of the structure, can mix all together and create this almost gray color, this monochromatic moment of tension, of course, because everything is going in that direction. And it was also an important moment to experiment with the idea of long take. So to work with the video without cuts, without editing. And it is very important until now for me, this choice, because when you work with the long take, you are putting very close the idea of the fiction, so what you want to show and how you want to show it. You are keeping it very close also with the accident, so with something that can happen by accident. So it is very important to keep both of them possible, so the fiction and the accident. After this work, I went in Italy and I lived, as I told before, in Italy for 12 years. And I was invited by the Villa Romana, that is a German space for contemporary art, but is based in Florence. And in 2016, they invited me for a solo show. And this solo show was, the title of the show was All My Colors Turn to Clouds. So it was a period when I was working with the idea of monochromatic point of view and with the lack of the colors. So I was very, very concentrated in this idea of Stimmung. That is a German word, but it means a kind of atmosphere. So by removing all the colors and all the naturalistic elements and informations from the image or from the video, you can fix and concentrate the viewer always deeper and deeper in what is happening in that precise frame or display. So this Villa Romana, the villa is a house with different rooms, and I worked with 3 of them by coloring with the dark gray and covering all the floor with the black moquette or carpet. I worked with projection, with video projection, and this I'm going in reverse because this image was the final piece of the show, but I would like to go in reverse. So this was a big projection of a video that has something to share with the video that we saw before. And now I will show you just an extract of this video. And after I will explain what is happening in this video. The video has no title, it's untitled too, because it was also a previous work without the title, so it's just the second one in that direction. Here we are in the Adriatic coastline of Albania, and I found this landscape a few years ago, and I was surprised by this sand dune, because it's a sand dune, in fact, with a very strange inclination or oblique plan. But in the moment when you put your video camera in that oblique or inclinated plan, everything was overturned. So the sea was going in a diagonal way, also the horizon line, and the sand dune is flat. And in the middle, there is this unknown wayfarer, this passenger that is just walking, but in a very difficult way. Because he, in fact, now is trying to go up. But because of this strange overturning of the plan, because of the sand dune, everything looks different. So we deal somehow with a kind of impossible landscape, because I think it's impossible to have this point of view of the sea and of the waves that are going in this strange direction. So just look at this moment, that is moment of tension, in fact. And the subject is always very small. Also, when you do a big projection, the subject remains still very small. So this kind of black point in the landscape. And this was a work without colors, of course, because it was very important to give this idea of atmosphere, this particular gray zones and tonalities that can focus deeper and deeper in what is happening, in fact. It is 7 minutes long, but it was important just to show this moment of passage of the subject. And here we can look at some installation shots from the exhibition. And a moment after this big projection, it was a kind of space in between the other two rooms, and it was this door with this floral decorations, and there was installed an audio amplification that is a work that I did. It's a vinyl, in fact, it's a vinyl produced with various audio tracks from a bird that is part of this very important book from Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari, called Mille Plateaux. And this bird, his name is Scenopoietes dentirostris, so it's a Latin term and name, and is object of this book because this bird is very well known for his imitation. So he doesn't sing his songs. He doesn't have proper songs, but he's always trying to create imitation of the other birds and other songs from these birds. So I was very how to say surprised by this behavior. And I produced this vinyl. But why I produced the vinyl? Because this bird lived in rainforest in Australia. So part of his landscape is this forest and this rain that is how to say, is part also of the sound of the landscape. And I create 4 interval of imitation of this songs. And when in a vinyl, when you go from a track to the other one, the vinyl is still going on, but without sound. But the vinyl has this particularity because can produce this effect of rain. So from an imitation and another one, we can hear this rain that is part of his landscape. So it was a kind of imitation for the bird and for his landscape. So it was somehow related with the idea of the landscape that we saw before. And in the other room, that was this dark room, I showed a video that is, the title of this video is Notte tempo. Notte tempo is an Italian word that is strongly related with the idea of time, but with the idea of illegal time. So undefined time. So if you say, I will come notte tempo, I don't know if you are coming at 2 or 3 p.m. or etc. So it's a very strange condition and perception of the time. And this work is around 4 video channels with drawings that I did on my smartphone, trying to remember characters and subjects from the movie that I love. So in this case, it was this channel completely in relation with the movie from Béla Tarr, this Hungarian director. The movie is Werkmeister Harmonies, and it was also another channel with 4 nuns that is in relation with La Dolce Vita from Federico Fellini, and the nuns we can see after they became very important subjects in my work. And yeah, and after that there was 2 other channels. I would like to show them because they are very, very short. So this was one channel, this person that is running with a cat or dog, is not clear what it is. And after, there were these nuns meeting and crossing, ignoring completely each other. So everything was in loop, of course, so in repetition. After, it was this couple that is sleeping in, and the cat that is going in a direction, so the cat can connect the channels. So this was the story of this work. And in this other room, it was a dia projection, so it was a projector for diapositive films, because I found this picture that the title is Centre Pompidou avant Rénovation. So it is a building, is a found footage, of course, but it's a building that is very similar to the famous contemporary art space in Paris, Centre Pompidou. And but in fact has nothing to do with Centre Pompidou. It's a military stable maybe in Germany during the First World War. So we look at these horses that are going, so they are not tourists like in Centre Pompidou, but they are horses that are going to sleep. But it was important, this work, because of this title of the show, All My Colors Turn to Clouds. And in this case, we are facing a black and white structure, an archaic kind of Pompidou, but is in relation with the structure, super colored with different colors, etc. And when you leave before the end of the exhibition, when you close the doors, it looks like, because of this colored glasses of the space that was part of the space, so these doors with these colored filters, they were part of the space. So they were the only trace of or presence of color in this exhibition. But I was very curious to develop somehow this idea of colored glasses. So now I'm working with, this is a project, so this is not a real object, it's a video projection, it's a kind of prototype of vitro or vitraggio in Italiano. I don't know the exact term in English. I'm producing this series of blue glasses that, of course, like in the first video that I showed before, it was in relation with this idea of a structure that we can change our point of view. So from an abstract level, you can go in an aerial point of view and you can see a different thing. So this, in fact, that looks like a kind of a broken cross or a kind of swastika, I don't know, has nothing to do with them, but is the planimetric drawing of the ex-asylum, so the building for people with mental illness in Shkodra that was produced during the regime, communist regime in the 80s. It's a kind of brutalist architecture. So it now is completely empty, so it's out of function. But it's very close to my house, so I was very interested to translate this structure, this building, this dark building, because it was full with dark stories, into these glasses, into this Gothic, almost Gothic glasses, and to change, maybe because of this penetration of light, to change the mood of the room or the ambience of the space when this glass maybe one day will be on show. And now I'm showing you the real structure of this building. That is, how to say, for me is very strange drawing, it's very strange project from the architect. But it was very curious, because in Albania, now here we are in Tirana, in the capital of Albania, and this building that is also a kind of cross, so a religious reference, it was built during our relation with the Soviet Union in Albania, so during the 15th or 16th, and an art critic, Zimchendro, wrote a book, very beautiful book, about this building because he found a lot of subversive symbols that has to do with religion. But why was very strange to think about these symbols, these religious symbols? Because in Albania, in the 1967, we became an atheist country. So we were the first country in the world self-declared atheist. And in that period, the religious and the religion, all the religions, were the enemy of the communist regime. So it was very strange to find this building that was the building of Kino Studio. So it was the factory of the movies of propaganda. So a lot of movies with propaganda were produced in that building. And now this building is the Ministry of Culture of Albania. So it was a kind of esoteric project from this architect. And it was produced and built in the heart of the institution of propaganda and in the middle of the atheism period in Albania during the communist regime. So it was very strange. And after, when I came in Albania, so in 2017, and I started working in the National Museum of Photography as the head of the archive. And in the moment when I was with my friend, that is the director of the museum, we start a project for an exhibition of this very important Albanian photographer, Angelin Menshati, that he works also, he covers the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, and also the period of transition after the collapse of the communist regime. So it was very important, his work, his photography. And here we are in 1967 in Shkodra, so very close again to my house. It was this church of Saint Nicholas. And in the moment that Albania became an atheist country, the churches and all this religious construction and buildings and places became something different. So here we are in the church, but the church became a sport palace. So nothing more liturgy or religious events, but gymnastic and other activities related with the sport. So I found for the first time with my friend this picture that is very important for us, because from hand we can face with the body of the architecture. This is an image that is very close to the idea of Gilles Deleuze, to the idea of déterritorialisation, because here we face with the church as a body, with the architecture as a religious place, but in fact the liturgy, so what is happening, is not an angel or a Christ, but is a young girl that is performing this gymnastic moment of his work or activity. So it was very, very important this moment, because it happens in the beginning of this atheistic period of Albania. And also in Albania was built and created the first and the last one museum of atheism. So it, of course in the 19th it was destroyed from the people, but it exists also a museum of atheism. And when I was trying to prepare the exhibition of this photographer, Angelin Nshati, the archive of Marubi Museum is 500,000 of negatives in glass and pellicola, etc. So the half of this archive is part of the work of Angelin Nshati, and is not digitalized, that archive. It was not digitalized in that period. So it was very complicated to find a way to have some fast previews of these roll films in order to make a selection. And we found this old machine, that is a machine that can scan and zoom the 35 millimeters in roll films. But it was very old. It was part of the studios of the photographers of the city. And I was a little bit afraid to put a pellicola from Nshati in this machine, because a pellicola, as we can maybe know, can burn easily. So it's something very fragile in relation with the light and the temperature of the surface when you put it. So a friend that day came to me, a colleague that works with me in the museum, and he gives me a lot of roll films, without information, without authors, nothing. So just roll films. And he says to me, you can test the machine with these roll films because they are not so important. And when I start this test of the machine, I found these images. And maybe because I studied painting in the artistic high school in Shkodra, and I lived in Florence, so in my mind the image of a painting or this frescoes, this arte sacra, is always part of my imaginary. So I became very curious, and I started taking pictures with my smartphone. And after a certain point, because of this huge curiosity that I was feeling regarding this phantasmatic bodies, I decide to invert them with the very banal application in the smartphone. So you can invert an image, you can produce the negative one of an image. But in this image, when you invert these pictures, everything can become negative, but in the screen we have also a negative projection of an image. So there are two different negatives that are meeting, and in this space in between is produced this phantasmatic moment of bodies completely cleansed by this cyan blue. And so this was the story of the series that I show in the exhibition in Lyon the last year. So now I'm showing you just some pictures from this process and this series. So I found a lot of nuns, a lot of moments, very intimate moments of these young girls and young boys. And I found a lot of cinema inside of this series, so I decided to create a work. This piece is called The Real People Went Away. And this series is in fact documenting the religious life and activities of people in Albania after the collapse of the communist regime. So before we saw this image that was an iconic moment of Albania as an atheist country with a church that is a sport palace. And in this series, we are dealing with the possibility to be part of the religious life again in Albania. And in this picture, it is because this series is going on. I'm still exploring other role films from this series, but it's very important, these two last pictures of my presentation, because this person is Angelin Nenshati, is the photographer of the young girl in the church. So he is also part of this spectral moment of the photography and the religious lives, because he was very religious as a person. I remember it, and it was very important because everything I made these images because of the exhibition that I was preparing for him. So it was a kind of contingence or coincidence to have also, here it is also Angelina Shadi that is trying to say to the people, stay in this way and not in that way, just to make maybe a good picture. I don't know. So this was somehow a kind of journey. So we started from this colored glass structure, very fragile, that we can understand it as a swastika or as a deconstructed structure that is mixing the colors, the primary colors, in order to produce the second one. But in the middle, everything is going to create a gray zone, a monochromatic zone. So after this, we saw this another moment of inclination, but not the inclination of the glass structure, but to a landscape that can change completely our point of view. And so all the exhibition was important in order to remove the colors and to go deeper into this idea of Stimmung. That was an idea of philosopher Georg Simmel. So the idea of Stimmung is this idea of an inner landscape. So it's not a panoramic point of view, it's something that is happening. So it's a kind of romantic landscape, in fact, because it's produced in you, not something that is just out of you. And with this animation, with this nuance, with this spectral moments and signs, that has a provenance from the history of cinema, but with the animation you can give a different possibility to create another story. And after we saw this Centre Pompidou, this structure that is not Centre Pompidou, but is a military stable, so it was important to show it because the architecture is a part of my research and my interest. So I am very interested into the architecture history or presence as a physical body. And yeah, after that, with this young girl in this church that is no more a church, but it became a different place for different other activities. And with this blue series that somehow the color is back, but not as but is again a monochromatic filter, but it's not an effect. In fact, it's a coincidence. It's a consequence of this process, of this moment of curiosity, you know. So if you want to ask something, or to maybe we can
Lek, there was a question quite some moment ago about how you produce this diagonal image on the seaside.
Yeah, it is very simple. Maybe it was not clear what I was saying. I found this moment, this landscape, that in fact is a sand dune with a very oblique alignment. So when you put something, of course, because of this distortion, because of this diagonal plan, everything goes in a different way. So it's overturned somehow.
So the image was not worked out afterwards. It is simply it was deposed on this diagonal landscape.
Yes. There is no effect. There is no post-production. It's just a long take, a static long take, with this moment of self-overturned image, if I can say in this. So it is a very, very simple work.
Yes. So the person that is trying to gramp over the dune is really making an effort, because it's very strange also the effort of the person.
Yeah, and I was the person. It was very difficult to go in this way without stopping and without. So it was a moment of a performative moment, but it was very difficult because this alignment, this angle, is very how to say, yeah. So, but you know, I found it very spectacular, this simplicity of the nature that can release a kind of visionary image somehow, with nothing, almost nothing. So
yeah, I had another kind of question about the notion of Stimmung.
Yeah.
So as you said, it is a German name.
Yes.
That means German word that means that you are in a mood somehow.
Yeah.
You have an inner mood.
Yeah.
And you described it as a landscape that is a kind of inner landscape.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in this definition of Stimmung, because it is an inner landscape, but it also in the romantic approach of how we can normally hear this idea in a romantic way of interpret in our own interpretation. It is a kind of cutting out of the world. You cut yourself out of reality, and you produce in your inner imagination another kind of landscape, let's say.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that there is, because you made this, you spoke about this in relation to some architecture, and this very strange relation between Catholic science in a very communistic moment of the life in Albania.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that to be cut out of reality or to reproduce in yourself a kind of Stimmung is also a very political position.
Yes.
Maybe something to explain to the people hearing us is that Albania has a very particular story of communism also, because it was an occupied country very long time by the Turks, by the Ottomans.
Yes.
Then it tried to become autonomous in the Austro-Hungarian world, and then became again after the Second World War a country that through the Russians become autonomous, but then become a very radical communism. So this is very different from the story we know about Yugoslavia and other countries of the Balkans, because it was a very hard, strong, and autarkic, I can say, communism. Like I think in the 70s, it became really delirious.
Yes, it was one of the most isolated country in Europe, of course, but also in the world.
The world generally. It was a closed place where it was very difficult to get in and to get out.
Yeah.
It was not only closed, it was also autarkic in its economy, so very poor.
Yeah, yes.
Because it was totally economically independent from his neighbors. So I think that there is a very specific way of experiencing this return to religion you showed through the photograph and your images that it seems to me a very interesting and for us very difficult to understand this point of view, because the history in our country is quite the contrary. The years of the communistic experience in Albania, it was the years of 68 in France, where it was the liberation of sexuality and the freedom of opinion and a very rich life. So we have a quite different story of our country. So this internal, the internal landscape you're talking about, because your work is very often very related to the place in a very concrete way. So you analyze the place, the doors, the floors, the colors, the mood of a place before you work. It's a very concrete way of being somewhere.
Yes.
But in the same time, you speak about Stimmung and internal images.
Yes.
So it's a very double perception of a place.
Yes, yes. But you know, Bernard, when I was these days, a friend, an artist, says me, he introduced me this book from Zanzotto, and if I'm correct with the name, and he create this new neologist word in Italian that is paesagire. So it's paesaggio, landscape, mixed with agire, to act.
Yes.
So maybe it's not, I found for many reasons the idea, I relate the idea of Stimmung with the landscape because I was reading this book of Gjeloshi, and he introduced this word, Stimmung, trying to analyze the idea of landscape.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important as a word because it separates the landscape from a simple panoramic view. So it's not a poster. It's not the landscape is something much more complex. In this way, I think that has also to do with the inner moment of the viewer. So, of course, there is a concrete moment when this is happening. So it's the moment when you start your analysis of the mood of the place. But this place is also provoking another mood into you, and so there is always this double level. I mean, it's very, very difficult to flat them in one thing. Mm-hmm. You have always to deal with both of them. So just to make an example that is remote, is remoto.
It's far away.
Far away.
In the time.
For example, when I visited the cells of Basilica di San Marco, the frescoes of Beato Angelico, I was shocked. I mean, I was, like, wow, this is amazing. But why? Not just because of this very delicate frescoes and colors and this atmosphere, but from this relation through the colors of this fresco, through these images, very delicate, with these small windows that can put in the light, and the light is always changing all the day. So in every specific moment, you have a different way of looking at the fresco.
To explain to the others, you are speaking about a place in Florence.
Yes.
Where the monks had cells that are very simple with small windows, and Fra Angelico was one of the monks living there, and he painted very simple and very, you're right, they're very delicate, the colors. Yeah. In only one wall of this empty space that is a very close space that has a very small window through which it is on the only relation to external life. Also, yeah. The monk is living in his cell, and he has only one image that is changing through light.
Yeah. So it was very important to understand how strong and important was also the window. Not just the fresco. So I cannot separate them. For me, the fresco is also part of the window and vice versa. So I think this is the way that the light can change the work, and the way that the work can provoke the space. I think this is a process that we should keep together somehow. So this is also with the idea of Stimmung and landscape. So there is a concrete space that can simulate you somehow, but it's also the opposite thing. The way you look can change it.
Yes, when we talk about the exhibition last year, you showed us about the installation of your photographs. That seems in a very simple exercise. You become some photographs that are framed on a white on a white passepartout, and when you can hang it on the wall. But it seems simple, but it's not simple because of the problem you are telling now. So the little window that changed the way you look at the picture. And you showed us different pictures of installation you did of the photos, and it's always very different coming up from this problem on how you approach the images.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a question of how you approach an image, no?
Yeah, Bernard, to work, for me, work by work, this idea of the space, it becomes always very important for me, And it was very, very curious because when you work with the video, so with the video projection, the work is bringing its own light in the space. So these works are always showing not just the work, but also the space, So it was, for example, in Villa Romana, it was very important to use the works in order to change your point of view in relation with the space. And when you do this with the video, is kind of the opposite way of thinking the heterotopia, the concept of heterotopia. Because if the movie, if a cinematographic style of movie, is somehow is cutting off everything from the surrounding, this dark room, this big dark room. In the video is the opposite. You are showing that you are here and you are in this specific place. So you are not trying to cut the space out from this display. You are showing the space through the light of that particular work. Maybe it's not clear saying in English, but
no, but maybe what's a little bit more, it's not that easy to understand is the question of heterotopia, because you're talking about the Foucauldian heterotopia.
yes.
Yeah. That is a contra space. And
Yes.
space against. The idea of Foucault is that you have in every institution of the world, you have a contra institute, the possibility to have an institution that is against, a space that is against the real space. So in a prison, you can build your own space against the prison you are in. Somehow, yes. This is the example of Foucault. So what we are saying is that the difference between cinema and video is that the cinema is cutting out the space through the dark place. You are sitting in a way where you don't perceive the space you are in because you perceive the film. And yes. The difference of video is that you are in a contra space because you see the space by looking at the film. This is what you're saying, I think. There was a question about the reason of putting your film, the animations in Villa Romana, the second room with the 4 films in Villa Romana. The question was, why do you put them so near to the ground?
Oh, to create much more tension. You know, it was. It's a beautiful question, in fact, and it's very clear now to emphasize much more the idea of the space, because when you separate from the floor, you are removing the physical presence, the physical body of the projection. But when you put it in the same level, for me, maybe it's very subjective and personal, but for me it becomes physical. There is a plastic moment in that moment of
you mean the going from the ground to the wall?
Yeah. In cinema, for example, in the middle of a big wall, we have the screen. So the screen is somehow separated from the floor, from the angle, from that fold moment of, you know. So it's separated. In this case, no, it's not separated. It's part of this moment of this angle. You know, for me, it's very is to put in the same level the viewer and the image that he's looking at.
Mm-hmm. And the same, and there is also the question was continuing about how do you relate to the glass of the doors, to the colored glass of the doors?
How I relate?
These images and that way to put the images to the ground with I don't know if Nayon, is this a question? Or maybe you can put the question, say the question yourself.
Because you said with the color you can, originally the video, it doesn't have color, it's only black and white, but because of the glass you can see the color from outside, and I want to know why you choose this kind of relation.
Yeah, it was not a choice. In fact, I just accept the pre-existing doors, this moment of colors, this presence of colors, and this was emphasized much more from these dark walls. This, you know, because I colored with dark gray all the colors of the space, and with this black moquette, everything became much more, you know, and I accept because I like them. It reminds me the idea of vitrage and this moment. And it was a kind of effect, you know, when you are going in and think that you can see 4 videos, yellow and blue, but when you go in, everything is black and white. So it was kind of strong passage for the viewer. And because the exhibition was somehow created staying in relation with the lack of the colors, it was important to have them in this way. So the colors were part of an object that is always a point of passage. A door, you are going in or going out. So it's not a place when you can stay to contemplate something, you know, you are always going in or out. So it was a space in between, how to say.
Thank you.
And I like that. You know, it was sometimes it's very simple. I don't have complicated answers sometimes. So it was beautiful to have these doors that are part of the identity of the space, of the villa. And
how about the work you showed after this work? You went to the architecture of the hospital,
yeah,
and you showed a project of the work. It's a project. It's not.
Yes, it's a project.
And you want to build windows that are in an architecture.
Yeah, but yes, I am very, you know, I was in this period. I was thinking a lot about this idea of glasses, you know, that can change the space. So through the light, they can change the ambience. And I was very, very curious to do this because of this drawing that is the specific reference. You know, this is it kind of cattedrale di miseria. Il manicomio è una cattedrale di miseria, ma non è quella di Schwitters. It's not Merzbau of course Schwitters.
What you're saying in Italian, because if not, people don't understand. It is the cathedral of
misery.
Of misery, yes, yeah. But not like Schwitters Merzbau. You said not like literature. It's really misery.
So I just, maybe I can show again this moment. Just a second. No, I was very impressed by the image of this planimetric view of this building. So it was for me somehow, this image touched me somehow, you know, and I thought, why not developing this moment of this relation with the space? And Bernard, this is just a draft, of course. It's a kind of bozzetto draft, but it reminds me also the cielo stellato of Giotto.
Mm-hmm.
So in the chapels and in the cathedrals, etc., you can find this cross that is a religious one, but this is not with the symbolic religious references, but is a drawing of a building, and this exactly in this way. I just
you're saying that with Giotto, donc in the Cappella dei Scrovegni, let's say it's one of Giotto's chapels in Padova. When you went in, you have the images of the main history you have to look at, and then the roof of the place is covered with a geometrical drawing of come si dice, le stelle. Yeah. I'm losing every language tonight.
Okay. So
les étoiles, comment on dit en anglais, les étoiles? Merde.
It is a project, of course, and maybe I will show it in April in an underground space in Tirana. Mm-hmm. So maybe this project will be part of an underground space, not a higher and bigger space like in the cathedrals. So I don't know. I was just trying to understand somehow this moment of this, abstract level of the building. You know, this, because I think an architect as an artist, when he starts, he is always starting from a drawing, so from a figurazione, a kind of figure.
A representation.
Yeah. And I found very weird, bizarre this. This. So that's the reason why I was, you know, and it is very close to my house, my home. So I remember that place when it was full with people.
And what's now that place?
Now is empty.
It's empty.
No, because the asylums or these hospitals are not sono proibiti dalla legge.
Are not allowed by law. Yes.
Yeah. So it was a little bit, you know, I'm working with the digital, so with computer. I'm very curious to see this vitrage in a digital way. So with this digital, almost digital language of geometric signs, etc. I remember, for example, the vitrage of Pierre Soulages in the beginning of 19th, when he did for a church in France. I don't know exactly when. So now also Gerhard Richter is working with the new series of. But I think that as you know, Enzo Mario, this designer that he passed away recently, when he says that in the past, the artists were all designers. So I for so many reasons, I really believe that an artist is a kind of designer. So he can produce glasses, and he can produce different objects that can change our way of living in the space or looking at the space.
Excuse me, Lek. Who did say that all artists were designers at the beginning?
Enzo Mari.
Okay, thank you.
He was a very important Italian designer, and he passed away a couple of months ago. I think in November or October.
But you were saying another thing about this piece that interests me very much, because you made then you showed us another map, a Google map of the culture ministry in Tirana.
Yeah.
And that was the former propaganda cinema production place.
Yeah.
And
it was a factory.
Factory, yes. And you said that somehow in this very communist, radical moment of the history of Albania, these signs are crosses.
Yes.
So, as if you are speaking about an unconscious of the architect, speaking about religious sign, because you're putting this sign against us. When you take the sky with the stars of Giotto as an example for the designer decoration or design decoration of your glasses, you're talking about a kind of symbolic non-place in the frescoes of Giotto. It is the place where nothing is represented, but only the sign of religious possibility is given as an abstract sign.
Yes.
So you make a kind of parallel between this and a kind of unconscious of the communist architects of Albania, as if they are coming back to some religious signs. It's a very strange interpretation of their architecture, no?
Yeah. But you know, Bernard, the curious fact regarding the Kino studio in Tirana, this big studio of cinema, it was that the architect was from the Soviet Union. He produced other works in Soviet Union, etc. But it's not just the planimetric view that reminds us the cross. Also, inside, you can find a cupola with a kind of cross. You can find sculptures that are full with symbolic religious references. Mm-hmm. So it was in this book of Gzim Chandro, it's very, strange and weird to read and to find these concrete elements, and why this happens in the heart of the communist, when the communist regime was the enemy of the religion and vice versa. So it was very subversive somehow.
Yeah.
The main difference between the Kino studio and the hospital is maybe recalling again Michel Foucault, because the Kino studio was the main place, the heart of this new place, etc. The new human that was called but a hospital is a marginal building, is a marginal territory. Mm-hmm. So you are cutting off all this part of people and putting them in this building. So it was not an institution of propaganda, the hospital, but was something that the regime wants to hide from the society.
Yes, it was not the new human, the new functional human. Yeah.
No, exactly. It was not the new human. Mm. It was a very, very old and problematic human.
Yeah.
Somehow. So, I don't know.
No, because this unconscious, this question of the unconscious of the architect, I find it's a very interesting approach that makes me think on the film of the architect of the English filmmaker. He has to give birth to the architecture. It's playing in Rome. I cannot find his name, but it is a very strange. Normally, we associate architecture with drawing, and drawing with programmation, project, an organized work. And you are somehow talking about something that comes back through other kind of science. Yes, Peter Greenaway. Thank you very much, Marion. The architect of Peter Greenaway. In the film of Peter Greenaway, you have the kind of very strange architect that cannot build anymore because he's only in his own feeling of the building, and he cannot project anymore, nothing to do concretely. And he gives birth. He becomes a woman and gives birth. So I think that there is something that is related to this unconscious that has been still working in a culture, even if in this very strong, extreme culture that was cutted out extremely from connection to the world and to the religion, to the spirituality, and to all these elements. But then when you make the other step to the work you showed in the show here in last year, you showed us the machine and the history of why you work with this machine to show these images from this other photograph that is coming back in the images you are showing also. And you talked about a double negative.
Yes.
It's a very strange relation to the negative. Yeah. Because you're saying it is a negative that I show through a machine in a kind of positive, but becomes a negative or another negative. And also the colors become negative. Yes. The double negative is I'm hearing when you say this, I'm hearing to you as if you would say that it's a double forgetting.
Yes, exactly.
When you say real people went away, it's a kind of double forgetted people.
Yes.
So negative on a negative. And it is a very strange relation to image.
Yes. Yes, I think this is the point, Bernard. Absolutely, I totally agree with this double forgetting. And in fact, the reason why I was very impressed by these images was because of this lack of information. And the lack of information in photography means a lack of presence, of concrete presence. So the photography can prove us that we were in that place doing in this way or in that way, and that's it. But this lack of information means that you can become something different. You can go beyond this present moment of your of the witness of the photographer. How to say, you know, and yes, this was I really, for so many reasons, hate the photography. And it's a paradox, because I mean, I work in a museum of photography, but attention, because our archive is not archive of original prints. It's an archive of negatives. So the negatives are always, it's a museum of the image, in fact, because with a negative, you produce, first of all, an image, a projection of the information from the glass negative or the roll film. And in that moment, you can zoom in and zoom out. So it's a cinematographic way of dealing with the images in our case. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's very separated from the photography tout court. That is a print that maybe you can put it in the frame, or, you know, keeping it in your book. So this double forgetting is exactly what impressed me in this.
But because what you're saying is that a print, a museum of prints, a museum of photographs, is a museum of prints. And
no, of negatives.
Yes, your museum is of a negative. Normally, it could be a museum of prints. It being a museum of prints is a museum of objects that have a kind of final dimension that I can look at and work with and whatever. You say that the negative is a kind of dynamic element that is not fixed?
No.
Because you can zoom in and you said you can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can
print it very in a large dimension, or you can do it very small. Mm-hmm. So it's very ambiguous, the territory of dealing with a negative for me.
But what you say also about these negatives your friend gave you is that there were, you said very clearly that they were not important. The argumentation was use them because they are not important.
Yes, because they were not part of the archive. That's the reason. Because if
not part of the archive means that they are not related to a photographer in a moment. What you were saying now.
Yeah.
What you are explaining now that you didn't say before is that not only they were not important because they are not in the collection of the museum, but they have no author, no moment, no place.
No place.
So they are double forgotten.
Yes, of course. But this is another strange and curious moment of this work, because when we say there are no authors, of course, someone did these pictures. Mm-hmm. So, for so many reasons, the author or authors exist, but they are unknown.
They went away. This is the title.
They went away. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and another level is that, for example, all this presence of children, maybe they have my age now. They are still alive, because this archive is after the 19th. So it's this phantasmatic archive with people that there is also a double life in this way. So the life of them in this cyan blue and in this moment of liturgic events and moments, and their ordinary life that maybe is going on again. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit is out from the simple idea of a photographic series. It's for me is something much more related with the idea of spectral moment of the image. Mm-hmm. that, of course, is also full with cinematographic references from, for example, I remember The Nuns of Jerzy Kawalerowicz, this director from Poland, with this moment of exorcism, etc. So these dark nuns. So they remember me somehow, this moment of dark movies, B movies, with dark stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about religion, but it's also about kind of dark or arcane, arcano, from Italian arcano, arcane, if I can say in English arcane. So it's something mysterious, occult, something ambiguous.
Yes, in the idea of arcano, they say the idea of something that is archaic, that is very ancient, but it hides his roots. Let's say you don't know where it comes from.
Exactly.
So you're saying that in this photo, in this relation to religion, there is something that is hidden in its deep origin.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's also historically a very strange moment.
Yes, yes.
It is the moment of the opening of the country and one of the also very difficult moments of the economy. People going away also.
Yes. Yes, it was a moment of shock for the people, of course. It was
to make a little bit history in Albania after the opening of this moment after the 70s of the country through in the 80s. It also became a very neoliberal, very aggressive society with very much poor people that went going by boat to Italy.
Yes.
So very much people went away.
And they are still.
Yes, but this immigration from Albania to Europe, let's say, through Italy, has been a very important moment in the years the photos were taken.
Yes, it was that period,
Mm-hmm.
And of course a lot of nuns and subjects in that series, they were part of this people that were coming from Italy to help these poor people and to give a new born to the religious, to the churches. So of course it was very strongly related with that moment of immigration of people from Albania to Italy or Germany and so on, but also from other people that were coming from Italy, etc., to help, and so to enlarge the roots of this religious presence in the country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
From Vatican, I don't know, from Rome.
But it is the years of Wojtyła also.
Yes.
Is the years of this church that wants to get back, to overcome the Stalinian world.
Absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly that moment and that kind of intention and will.
Yeah. So because I'm thinking about the spectral dimension you're talking about, because when you say there are spectral images of something that comes, some spectre is something that is it's a ghost of something else. So you are talking about something that has a ghost dimension. So are these young boys and girls the ghost? Are the nuns coming from the Vatican the ghost? Or are the ancient world of Albania is a ghost? Where is the ghost? This is my real question. Where is the ghost?
Maybe if you send me via email, I can take 1 month and to
Yes. No, but it's an interesting question also about what you're talking about, this non-consent way in the architecture of showing some symbols of a religious world, as if the unconsciousness of Albanian culture was always reproducing also a desire of a spirituality.
Yes.
So the question, who is the ghost?
Who is the ghost?
Is the question of the spirituality. Where is spirituality? But Stimmung is also a question of spirituality, no?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you know, my idea of ghost in this case is it's a little bit, you know, I think that there is this, I really believe in the space in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
In this limbo. Yeah. So the ghost is sometimes.
Maybe explain what is limbo, because not all people is understanding. It's not in France. It's not a very current question.
I know, but limbo, for example, in a religious meaning, is the place of the spirits. How to say it in English? Senza salvezza, senza.
Without any possibility to be saved.
To be saved.
That there are the spirits that have no possibility to change their condition, that are in a space that is not in hell and not in heaven, that is a non-existing non-space.
So I think that is the ghost in this way, in this space, has no redemption.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this religious reference in my work is a little bit damned. How to say, is not the religious way of salvation. Something without redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So this ghost is a turbulent presence that is, because of this, can.
Because it has no future. It has any change possible.
Yes, can oscillate in different moments and can produce this effect or this phantomatic.
Phantomatic optical effects also.
Yes, yes.
Because in your work, this optical dimension is very important.
Of course, yes.
So when you talk about color and non-color, is there something that is related to this condition?
Well, I think yes, because you know when you start, I was when I was very young, very interested about the cinema, for example, of Bellatar, and this black and white is not just the lack of color, is the main thing that can show you this lost people and this lost landscape and this no future and this. So it was, for so many reasons, also a kind of influence from other artists and from other aesthetic moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the black and white, the non-color is showing you not the naturalistic or the information of something.
Yeah.
So it's giving you something different from the information. Exactly as in the case of the blue series, it's not showing you the present moment of the photography. It's showing you something that goes beyond of that present moment.
It makes me think a little bit on Tarkovsky, what you say.
Yes, of course. But I watched a lot of movies of Tarkovsky, but he was not a big influence for me.
Mm-hmm.
As Bellatar says, he's too much nicer for me. Maybe, of course, he was maybe joking, but no, I think that, you know, when I was living in Florence, I was talking one day with our common friend Pierluigi.
Mm-hmm. Luigi Tazzi, who is an art critic.
Yes, and Tarkovsky lived in Florence.
Yes.
Part of his life, and there is the house in San Nicolo the house of Tarkovsky, of the il suo figlio,
His son.
his son. And I for a moment, you know, I was thinking, I was trying to shoot a new video with this. Do you remember in Stalker this kind of objects that the stalker release, che tira, come dire? Bernard? No, Bernard is not here. Sorry, guys. I tried to explain to Bernard this relation with Tarkovsky, but his image is blocked.
Yes, we heard you, Lek.
Okay. No, okay. It was a simple thing that I was trying to explain to Bernard in relation with Tarkovsky. There is this movie of Stalker, and in that movie we see some objects that this person, this subject, push and
Throw away to make a path.
In different place of the area of the movie, in order to remember the path. And with this object, I want to annoy Bernard, come dire lanciare? To
Throw away.
to throw them into the house of Tarkovsky, and because stalker and stalking, they were very, very close as words, and I want to disturb his son with these elements that are part of the cinema of his father, and but of course it was just a stupid idea, and so this was the main reference with Tarkovsky in my case.
No, because I was thinking about Stalker and black and white work on the house of Stalker.
Yeah.
In the beginning, where the black and white produce a very different kind of space that is not the housing. So it's not the real housing; it's another dimension of space. So this was that's why I thought of Tarkovsky.
Yes, but I remember when I saw the movie, I remember that the monochromatic scenes were in sepia, not black and white, and I hate that effect.
Yes, but in the house of Stalker, in the very beginning of the film and the end, the sepia produces a dimension of the wood that is no more wood.
Okay.
And there is no more deepness in the image. A very strange relation to black and white. In the house of, and then you mean the sepia effect in the moment where are in the zone, in the zone, in the end of the zone, there is the sepia effect. Yes.
Yeah,
I understand. But that is another question. But
no, I liked a lot, for example, some scenes in Rublev, and this idea of sound, of this, all this work that is happening because of this sound that the La Campana,
the
bell can produce. And but I think that it was for the black and white, it was much more important, the cinema of Bellatar for me.
No matter, I understand.
Yes. Because of this cosmic melancholy, of this kind of struggle,
Stimmung.
Stimmung.
This is really Stimmung.
Yes.
If there are other questions, maybe. Do someone have a question?
Not complicated question.
Marion?
Hey, Mikey.
Mikey.
Like, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions, and sorry for my very bad English, but
That's okay.
It was very good, Lek.
Yeah.
No problem. I'm very sorry about my not connection at the beginning. That was complicated.
no problem.
I'm very happy that we have this presentation and that we could discuss also these questions that we were very interested in to discuss with you and with the group, and then all the situation brought us not to see each other in Lyon. So I'm very happy that we could do the conference today.
Yes.
And so somehow have this discussion, even if it is a kind of a distance discussion, but
yes.
But no, because it's a longer discussion that is going on from Pristina to now. So we are discussing also other things through these questions. But it was very interesting to see your work.
Thank you very much.
Speak about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lek.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope we will meet one day.
Yes, we have to do again. We don't know how we will organize ourselves, but we will try to.
Okay.
And maybe I don't know how it will be in Pristina after all these events.
Well, I think that the next year will take place also Manifesta in Pristina.
Yes. So we wanted to see how to be there, but we will organize ourselves. We will talk.
Okay.
We will try to talk about it.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and all the best.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.